Hello, hello, hello. I know it's been too long. It's been 8 months since I've last recorded a podcast, and people might have been wondering what has gone on in my life. Maybe not, because my life is pretty irrelevant compared to most people since my page only is like, I don't know, my main page is about 500, 600 followers, and my actual second one is like 100, so I don't think many people are interested. That's beside the point. Um, what has happened recently? So 8 months ago was like I last recorded a podcast. So yeah, a lot has happened then. I moved to London. I competed in three men's physique shows, and ever since then, yeah, just kind of just setting small targets and just taking it day by day. Obviously I'm saving right now. I'm hoping to travel by the end of this year. So yeah. Um obviously I'm trying to like save every bit I can, and I'm looking at ways to kind of get more money, maybe do like a side hustle, get a second job. There's kind of like different ways of going about it, I guess. But that's beside the point. I haven't spoken on a podcast in a while, so I haven't a breeze where to kick off, what to talk about. I just try to get kind of the nerves the first kind of minute out of the way, just for our own sake. Just so I'm not like stuttering over every word or that I get lost in what I'm talking about. I know recently all I kind of do is talk about books these days, but I am also thinking, I don't know, maybe doing some like, I don't know, content on my second page, but I'm not really too sure what to do. Or maybe I just make it all the one page. Who really knows? Um, but yeah, I think right now, what will I talk about? Kind of, I could talk about myself, but it's kind of like very narcissistic and selfish, and I don't really think many, I don't know, maybe 1% of people care. Um, yeah, like I don't really have too much to really brag about at the moment. I'm just doing loads of rock climbing, bit of boxing. I'm kind of I put a pause on competing in men's league again, just because I kind of want to do other things. Like I wanted to play football. I wanted to just do a lot of things. I just feel like just trying to commit pure and solely to the gym just wasn't for me, kind of thing. And I just want to do different things, which, at the end of the day, I don't really feel too bad about it. Obviously the potential was there to be better, but I think it just would have taken about 3 or 4 years for me to actually like compete at a top level. And yeah, it's maybe even longer than 3 or 4 years, probably maybe 6 or 7, 8, or who knows, maybe I never get there at all. But yeah, I don't know, I'm enjoying what I'm kind of doing at the moment. I don't really have any set goals because usually I have this kind of mentality since I was a kid. I just need to be the best at everything, need to win, need to like get some sort of like achievement. But it's nice at the moment just to kind of have like that unwanted pressure on myself. I could just leisurely just enjoy what I do without having to worry about what I'm eating, how I'm performing. And obviously, like I want to perform the best, but I'm not gonna like sulk about it or let it ruin my kind of like week if I do really bad or anything like that. But yeah, obviously I will still probably put up content on just general life hacks, not life hacks, maybe books and what I got what I gained, the value I gained from reading, the books I've read, kind of the value I get from training, the value from the foods I've been eating, kind of I don't really know what kind of direction, because when I first started off my other page, I wanted to provide value with kind of like not really personal, like not really self-help, but more like personal kind of growth and development, like why you should be the 1%, why you should be this kind of like go-getter, kind of attitude. But um yeah, I don't really know. I think it was the page kind of lost its identity then, because I just wanted to be I want to be kind of unique and organic. I didn't want to be recycling old content every week, and then that's keep people interested. And that's kind of hard, just to you know keep just relying on me coming up with kind of different kind of philosophies and to kind of plagiarizing other different people's words and that. So, but yeah, I kind of just stuck to putting up training vids and like the odd book review. And I'm kind of reading a book at the moment called The Ape That Understood the Universe. I'm about halfway through it. And yeah, I didn't want to be like putting up book reviews like every, 2 or 3 weeks, because I actually want to, just digest what the book has to say. Not like I do still love reading. I still read every day, still read every morning and night before I go to sleep. But yeah, I am generally, yeah, I might like even just, I could even talk about what I've learned so far from half this book that I've read, or I could do it when I read the whole thing. Because I actually find evolutionary psychology a very interesting topic. I don't know why. I think I heard in a podcast before, like why humans behave, like why are men kind of just naturally more bigger and like a lot more muscular and athletic than women are. Women are kind of more like, you know, generally women are a lot like smaller and more petite than men. And it's just like different roles in kind of like the caveman era where men would be generally more athletic to kind of protect their families while the mother would be protecting their young. And like men would go out and kill and hunt and provide for the family while the mother would be there kind of taking care of the family, like raising and nurturing their children. That's just a bit like, it's just kind of interesting how we've evolved into that kind of aspect. And that's kind of like generally the consensus of this book. Like if you asked me what I recommend it so far, yes, 100%. I would actually, I mean, it's kind of like one of them. I think if you're trying to like, if you want to really kind of get a grasp of your understanding of the world, yes, I would recommend the book. But obviously, if you're trying to be a better person, be a better you, then probably not. Like each book is its own purpose. You know what I mean? You read one book to get value from another. You read one book because you enjoy a story. Everyone reads for their own different reason. That's if you do read books. But yeah, kind of just basically as a general chit chat this is. I put up a post a while ago saying that I wanted to have guests on a podcast, but I haven't really got around to that. I've been a bit, I don't know, I kind of find with a podcast, like, am I really getting any value from this? Like, I'm kind of finding myself talking to myself, and I, again, like what I put on my page is like not this, like, I kind of just feel like I'm recycling just content. So I don't know. I guess the worst thing about doing a podcast is just trying to start, like just beginning and just saying the first few words. Because like I don't, I'm very bad for not having a script or having it written down. I was like, I just like wing it as I go. I just kind of just talk and talk and talk and say what comes into my head. But no, it's yeah. I should probably improve that. That should be one of my goals for 2023. I have plenty of other goals. Like weirdly, I'm really into chess. I'll like for a few months now. I'm like playing a lot of chess. Probably not the coolest thing to be talking about, but alas, I have my own little unique quirks per se. But no, chess, really into chess. Love to play games with people, but like everyone that I know is like really good at chess. So well, I know you can only get better by losing to learning and from your mistakes. But yeah, basically, I'm just flicking through my book here and just kind of having what I have highlighted down. And yeah, it turns out that male nipples are a byproduct of the development process that gives rise to males and females in the first place, which I found kind of funny, I guess. At least, there's a use for kind of male nipples. I don't even know why I even read that out. It's kind of just the first quote I saw when I highlighted it, but um here's another quote I learned from Evolutionary Psychology, which is actually very interesting. So, men and women prefer mates who are intelligent and funny. In our ancestral past, these preferences may have created selection pressure for greater intelligence and a better sense of humor, in exactly the same way that the peahan's mates' preferences created a selection pressure for larger, glitzier tails. So, that's generally why when you are at a social occasion, or if you're at a bar, same thing, social occasion bar. If you're in a park talking to someone, you're more than likely to keep people interested if you're a lot more outgoing and confident. It just relates back to our ancestral past that we as humans were like our best traits is when we're, you know, happy because we're happy and outgoing because if we if we're shown that we're intelligent and funny, people are going to have more interest in us. We're going to provide them more value to their life than rather they're going to feel more safe and they're going to feel a lot more like relaxed around your environment rather than if you're someone who's aggressive and like slag them off, like you threaten and hurt that person. And that's going to more than likely kind of, have that kind of aversion kind of where they averse away from the problem or averse away from the situation because in their body they're in danger if they're around someone that's like very very aggressive towards them. So yeah, that's like another weird kind of taking evolutionary psychology where you kind of like don't really think about it till like someone actually said to you like, oh yeah, that actually makes no sense. But yeah, like I'm just going through this book and it's just so interesting, like the amount of like detail. Like, he goes on about Charles Darwin and his way of kind of like the gene pool and like what he discovered, and that was only like in the 1880s. Like for example, um, a peacock's tail and a deer's antlers don't promote the owner's survival, but they have the evolutionary function. Like their function is to boost their own owner's reproductive success. So natural selection isn't all about the survival of the fittest, it's about the reproduction of the fittest. So yeah, that is our two like main purposes in the world per se, surviving and reproducing. And obviously we want when we reproduce, we want to have the best offspring that can survive, that can be the strongest, that can be the most, they can handle, they're capable and able to take care of themselves. And that's the reason for that is so they can have offspring that can evolve and be better and capable and being stronger and more athletic and can protect the family and survive. So you kind of see where the ball's rolling with this. Like you can see that obviously we want to, and that's kind of links into why men are attracted to the best looking women and like and that's why women are more attracted to the best looking men. Or obviously it depends kind of what you're into, but from an evolutionary perspective, that's what we seek out. Like even you know homosexual people would more than likely look for the best looking person in their field. What they see when they're looking out for a partner, like when they look for the best person, because they know that that person is probably the best for gene pool, if that makes any sense. I know I'm kind of gone off a bit of a tangent there, but it kind of you can see like kind of one step leads to another. Where obviously, if you meet someone more intelligent and funny, they're more likely to be perceived as attractive because they're going to be safe and they're going to make us feel safe. And if you like reproduce with someone that's going to make you feel, reproduce someone that's safe, your offspring are going to be more likely to be kept safe, and then your offspring will survive a lot longer and keep their family safe. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. But yeah, that is one point about this book that I read that really resonated with me. Um, Obviously listened to a few podcasts on it. Adam Lane Smith did two podcasts on it with Chris Williamson and the Modern Wisdom podcast. I actually found that very interesting. They're about an hour and a half long as well. Um, yeah, it's funny. Like I I think when I finish this book, I'll do a proper review on it. Because usually when I read books, I know my last podcast was on a book or like why I read and all that, but I need to like write down notes and what I learned out of this book. You know what I mean? Like I've been guilty of times where I was like blitz through books and maybe taking like five or six things out of it, but like this book is actually very interesting. Not from like a self-development process, but like more of a process of um kind of just learning why human behavior is, why people have a more like it's a bit like studying like body language. People are like a lot more, you know, shoulders back, head up, confident. They know that they're confident, and people will strive to that because they look like the, quote unquote alpha of the pack. Bit like with monkeys when like what is a monkey was an ape do when he was to prove that he's the alpha of the pack? Like basically he beats the shit out of the current alpha and like I don't know, power bangs the female ape while the herd watches. You know what I mean? That's kind of like how you show. That's how, like, in the ape world per se, that's how they're. That's how you show that you're the alpha male. So if you're like perceived to be confident with your shoulders back, head up, people are gonna see you as the alpha. People are gonna see you as the most feared, not feared, but people are gonna see you as the most confident, the one to rely on, the one that people depend on. So yeah, um, I don't know how long I've been talking there, but I probably just talked shite for the last 5 minutes, which is fine. I mean, I kind of do it anyway. But yeah, like this, like it's what's another thing here now? So, for example, like we grew up to eat fruit. Like we lived on a paleo diet as cavemen, like or whatever. Like our ancestors, like years and years and years and years ago, we lived on we lived on like you know killing animals, fruit, veg that were like this homegrown kind of grains. And it says here, the explanation, of course, is that like our food today, cheesecake is a supernormal stimulus, an artificial concoction that presses our evolution buttons more strongly than any natural substance, and therefore packs more of a punch, which obviously makes sense. That's why we're so addicted to sweets. Like sugar's so addictive. Like obviously not natural sugars, like added sugars and refined sugars. Sugars that can come from fruit and veg and all that. But that's why we're so addicted to like fast food and that, because we didn't have that kind of cumbersome flavor back then. Like we had to live off very like, very bland and plain food. Like all we did, we only ate just to survive and just see through the day. We ate to survive and feed our families, and the cycle just went over again. We only ate for our own survival. Now most people these days just eat because it's so easy to eat, and the food tastes like amazing. So it's like you're obviously more likely to gravitate towards that. But back then we didn't eat for the pleasure or taste. We just ate to just get by with our day, which I'm gonna assume so anyway from reading this book. Like I don't think the book would lie to me. But yeah, like it's kind of, I know kind of repeat myself, but it's so interesting. Like back then, all we could really have back in the day was water or milk, like obviously from cows or coconut milk or all that. But like obviously now we have all these like kind of fizzy drinks, and we have alcohol, and we have any kind of option there. Like the world is basically our oyster when it comes to food choices and beverage choices. But it kind of does make sense why we find these things so stimulating when we have them, especially if we don't have them any often, if we don't have them often. Like for example, if you're like starved for however long and then you eat something for a while, like your body's gonna get such a kick from it. It's gonna like it's gonna taste like the nicest thing you ever had. It's a bit like when I was on competition prep, and like my taste for food was enhanced like so much. Like like if I was allowed a bowl of porridge, if I could even eat a bowl of porridge, it would taste like a five. Like it was a 10 out of 10, unbelievable. But if I have a bowl of porridge now with like my usual toppings on it, it's about maybe a 7 out of 10. Still really nice, but when I was like on competition prep and I was barely eating, I was like so starved, and like anything I ate, I was just it was so nice. Like it just that flavor just enhanced. It was like after I finished my shows, I had a Five Guys, and it was like it was amazing. But like right now, because I'm actually eating not relatively normal again, I'm not too hungry, and I'm not really craving. I don't have that craving. But if I did eat one, I just feel more guilty, and I'd feel like ugh, like my body's fed enough in a way where I can survive and function. I'm not like in starvation mode. I'm able to just crack on my day with no real issue. I had enough nutrients to exercise, sleep, move, you know, technically like survive and reproduce. But yeah, that's why like when you eat so much, your body's telling you to stop. Like your hunger hormones, ghrelin and leptin, they're called, and like they're both kind of like two opposites. So both one tells you to that you're eating too much, you need to stop, and the other one's telling you like you're way too hungry. you got to keep eating. But like obviously, if you're like on competition deprived starvation mode, they're gonna like your hormones there are gonna go completely out of whack. So yeah, when you're a bit normal like me, or not normal like me, when you're not normal like me, it's or if I'm what am I saying? Mix my words here completely. When I'm not normal like most people, so obviously mine are a bit messed up. But if you're normal, yeah, it probably doesn't affect you too much. But yeah, um, another quote I had from this book is, "Meanwhile, women's greater uh resistance about casual sex has survived the efforts of some feminists and other thought leaders to persuade women to cast off the shackles and patriarchy and match men in the casual sex arena. This is all awkward for the nurture only theory. It suggests that rather than being a product of culture, the sex differences in attitudes to casual sex often emerges in the spite of culture. Arguably, though, the most persuasive arguments against the nurture-only views of sex differences in sexual inclinations and choosiness can only be found in individuals with no gender norms, no socialization, and little in the way of culture. That rather sizable group, not so often overlooked by psychologists, known as other animals. So yeah, that's another interesting kind of quote I had highlighted there, which basically shows like it's very unlikely that women would sleep around. It's more likely for a woman to sleep around. Like obviously the world's changed today, but back in the times, a woman would not go around sleeping with every single person as men would do because she wants like the best kind of possible gene pool and only has that one partner. So, and obviously they're raising a family, or she's raising a family, and she's like committed to her family, and that's it. And that's why these days women don't really do as much as men because men's like primary role is to have casual sex with a lot more people. It's like in their DNA to go out and hunt and reproduce, keep the gene pool alive, spread their genes everywhere, keep their family chain going. While women obviously can only do it every 9 months. So yeah, that's kind of like the whole. I don't want to get into the whole nitty gritty of it, but yeah, that's essentially like just from our gene pool. Like men would go off hunting other women, reproduce, keep their gene pool. Like it kind of makes sense when you think about it from a gene pool standpoint. While women can't really afford to go around having casual sex with loads of people because they're worried about their young. You know, their young might be vulnerable, and they wouldn't be hunting for anything, so they're more like likely to stay in a sedative state. Which again, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Just read the book. Just read the book. I'm too busy just waffling on. But yeah, I don't really want to make any promises on when I'm going to do the next podcast again because I'm so inconsistent with like I'm so inconsistent because I'm working in London and I know it's not an excuse because I mean I don't make that many excuses for anything really. If I really want to do something, I'll do it. But yeah, I don't know. I like to kind of just get the ball going with it. I like to try to do once a week to be optimistic, but um, I just need to find stuff to talk about. I just need to like have a plan, need to have a structure, need to be more organized. Like I'm using the Zoom at the moment to record this, so the audio quality is probably going to be pretty crap, which is fine. I used to use Squadcast, but unfortunately that kind of went a bit out of my price range. And yeah, I will leave it there. Thank you for listening. If you haven't listened, hopefully it wasn't too bad of a listen. Um, obviously, I'm more than happy to accept suggestions on things to talk about. If you ever want to be a guest on the podcast, please get in touch. I won't charge you anything because I do not expect that you're taking your time to come out and talk to me. And yeah, that like obviously I'm not going to be. I'm actually very easygoing if you know me personally, and even if you don't know me personally, I'm still very easygoing, and very kind to heart. So yeah, um, I'll stop waffling on now. I know I said this about 5 times, but thank you for listening, and I will chat soon.